In my How to Get Straight A Plus video, I talked about consistency and how you should start your revision early so that you can finish your syllabus in time. So some of you might be wondering, how do I start? When do I start? This video might be able to help you. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be talking about how I plan my study schedule towards SPM and all the other school-based exams. So the first question, when do you start? So for me, I usually start 2 months away for all the small exams in school and for mid-test. For trials, you have to start around 3 months away, and then after trials, you have to study all the way to SPM because there's really no time to waste from there. When you're 1 month away from SPM, you should have covered everything in the syllabus. And when you're 2 weeks away from SPM, just stop all your revision and focus on the past year questions. Read the answers if you don't have time to really do all the past year questions. Just read the answer and learn from there. So if you're 2 weeks away from SPM and you still haven't managed to cover all the syllabus, I suggest that you stop revision anyways and just get on to the past year questions. This is because if you continue your revision, you will feel super stressed out because there are a lot of topics that you haven't covered yet and you will worry that you couldn't remember all the past topics that you have revised before. So just save yourself from the stress and just do past year questions where they cover everything from chapter 1 in Form 4 to the last chapter in Form 5. So next, I'll be answering this important question of how do you plan your study schedule. So planning out your study schedule is extremely important in the sense that you make sure you finish up all your syllabus in time and you have read through all the materials at least once. So what I usually do before planning out my study schedule for my school-based exams is that I would find out which chapters are coming out on the exam. And then once I'm sure of which chapters will come out, I take an A4 paper and I list down all the chapters. So I'm just making an assumption here. Say your exam date is on the 16th of May 2018 and these are the topics that are going to be covered in the exam. So for physics, it's up until chapter 3 and then for so if you add up all the number of chapters, the total would be 17. So if you have 17 chapters in total, then you have to use more than 17 days to revise. Usually do one chapter a day, but if the chapter is too tough or if it's too long, then you can use more than 1 day to cover that chapter. So I do not have a specific schedule like, okay, on this day I'll do physics chapter 1 and then on this day I'll do physics chapter 3. No, I don't do that. Instead, I just randomly pick a chapter each day from here. But for sejarah, you cannot do that because there's a chronological order, so you have to understand chapter by chapter. But for other chapters which you can do that, you can pick one of the chapters which you feel like doing that day, so you don't feel like you're forced to read a certain chapter a day. My advice to you is that you can save up the longer chapters for the weekends because you have more time during the weekends. If you cannot finish a certain chapter that you have planned to finish on that day, don't stress out. You can just bring it forward to the weekends and you can finish it during the weekends. How do you find time to at least finish a chapter a day? For me, I try to finish up all my homework at school so that when I come home, I do not need to do all those homework. Instead, I can just start on my revision. So you might have noticed that I only included 4 subjects here, which are physics, chemistry, bio and sejarah. I do not add all the other subjects into my study schedule. For modern mathematics and additional mathematics, I just finish up the homework that my teacher has assigned me to do and try to understand every day as the teacher is teaching in class. Additional mathematics especially require a lot of practice, so you can try to fit in 5 questions of additional mathematics a day. You do not need to do more than 5, just 5, but you need to fully understand those questions and know how to do them on your own. As for English and BM, I start my revision for the Comsas and the Nobel part and the literature part 1 week before the actual test. Of course, school teachers and tuition teachers will help to cover up all the Comsas and literature part. So when they are doing so, just make sure that you understand and you read. But then 1 week before the test is when you really try to memorize all the Nobel part, like latar masyarakat, latar tempat, all that. Just memorize 1 week before would be enough. For pendidikan moral, I use that 1 week to memorize all the nilai as well. 17 is the number of days needed to cover all these 4 important subjects which require a lot of revision. And then you will use 1 extra week for BM, BI, and pendidikan moral. So in total, you will need 24 days to cover all your syllabus in time and ace that test. If you count and do a little bit maths, you'll figure out that you need to start your revision on the 21st of April. This date is not even a month away from the exam date, so you don't have to start more than a month away. But do bear in mind that this is for a small test only, where the chapters covered are limited. But as the chapters increase, you need to start earlier and earlier to finish these chapters according to this kind of planning. If you use this kind of planning, you will have a specific goal in mind every day when approaching the exam season. So each day you pick out a chapter, and when you finish it, you just tick it off the A4 paper. So as time progresses, more chapters will be ticked off and you will feel more ready to ace that test. Example that I've given you, this is the date that you should start your revision if you do not take any rest day at all. Like you work all 7 days and then you try to tick off a chapter a day. If you decide that you want at least 1 rest day per week, then you can just add 4 days to this date. So maybe you can start on the 17th of April itself. Your rest day does not have to be during the weekends. You can pick a rest day in the middle of the week, say Wednesday. So during Wednesday, if you finish all your homework and all the work that you have to do for school, then you're free to do anything. You don't have to cover up any chapters that day because it's your rest day. Picking your rest day in the middle of the week is a good idea because when the week gets hectic, at least you can take a rest for a little bit. As I said, this is for a small test, and this is for when you're like in Form 4 and the syllabus are just minimal like this. If you're in Form 5 and you're approaching the trials, then you should spend a lot more time for your revision and you should start a lot earlier. But the good news is that if you start this planning system during Form 4, then you will do well in every single test and you don't need to spend so much time preparing for your trials because you have already revised them before and you have understood all those topics before, so you can just read more than 1 chapters a day because you have covered all the chapters previously and it's still somewhere in your memory, so you just have to trigger that memory by lightly reading the materials. So that's it for this video. I hope that my explanation have given you a rough idea on how to plan your study schedule. My final advice to you is to always be consistent in your revision and start as early as you can. Thank you so much for watching and like this video if you found it helpful. I'll see you next time.